Rock Zone. Kawan J.
DJ One. It's the group, homie. The mixtape show. The mixtape show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mixtape Show. It is time for this week's Artist of the Week interview. This week's Artist of the Week interview is brought to you by MJ's Hip Hop Connects, and we got my man joining us, Blaze. I did it. See, I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
Blaze Aliaz has joined us on the Mixtape Show, Miami, Florida. Shout out to the brother from Miami checking in, man. And first and foremost, my brother, how you, man? Welcome to the Mixtape Show, and what's good with you, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm working. What can I say? We got a lot of things cooking. We just dropped the project. We dropped an EP in April 8th, the same day of the eclipse. Wanted to line up with the universe, make it interesting. That was a hot EP. We currently cooking up 2 more albums. Hoping to drop them before the end of the year.
Yeah.
So we're staying busy. We got a lot of visuals on the way. Just cooking, admin, running the business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, let's break down all of that, man. And shout out to my man Ricky Mars for connecting us on this interview too, man. We'll talk about that situation and everything, man. But let's talk about you first, Blaze. Born and raised in Miami is initially, or okay, all right.
Yep.
And tell me what was your soundtrack coming up? What was you listening to in the headphones? Through the high school years, early adulthood. What was some of the songs and artists that you was rocking with, even before you wanted to get involved with the music thing? Who was in your soundtrack, your life soundtrack, as I like to call it?
My introduction to hip hop was DMX, like the album. Then there was X.
Yeah.
Eminem, Marshall Mathers, LP. Like this is some of the first hip hop I heard on a CD. Prior to that, I was always tuned in with my older family, my older cousins. We'd be watching VH1, MTV. So I believe back in the day, like Diddy was still rocking, even though it's a sketchy subject nowadays. but Bad Boy was popping, Cash Money was popping, Disturbing the Peace soon after. So that was my introduction to it. That's when I first saw it with my own eyes, and I'm like, I like this. I like what I see here. And sure enough, I used to get these the brochures through the mail, the ones that let you buy CDs and order them.
Columbia House,
and, yeah. And I didn't even know, I was a youngin'. I was like 7, 8 years old. So I started getting more and more CDs. I didn't even know what it was at the time. And sure enough, by the time I got a little older into my early teens, I started getting real heavy into 3 6 Mafia, Bone Thugs and Harmony, Tupac. That's when I really started getting into the writing aspect of it. I took it to another level there. Because at first it was just listening to what was popular, what was on TV, some random CDs I might have come across. But that's when I finally decided this is what I like. Yeah. This is what I'm going to study. And sure enough, I think that's what developed my style.
Yeah. 3-6 don't get a lot of credit as far as their earlier work unless you were from that actual like Memphis area. You don't hear a lot of them outside of the city get credit for their early work just because it was a different sound, right? It was a different feel, a different vibe. You didn't know if they was devil worshippers. You didn't know what was going on with them just because it was new, right? The sound was new. So it's dope when you hear people like you talk about, I rocks with them. And then the Bone comparison was similar too back in the day too with them in 3-6. And they don't get enough credit for a lot of the work that they did in the earlier parts, of their career. So they created a movement that's still, you can hear that sound today, that influence today.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, the sound. I mean, if they don't remember the lyrics, they got to recognize that the sound that you hear now, what that normalized trap that everyone wants to rap on, those are the first to do it.
Yeah.
And that, even though they were from Memphis, it related to the South regardless. The South is very bass heavy. So it's just those 808s. When I hear that bass drop, I'm like, this is what I want to do. Like, this is what hits me. And sure enough, look how popular the sound is now.
Absolutely. You gotta lead with the 808s for that solid sound. And in Miami too, man. So you from that? You said DMX. So you I'm trying to think around that time. So who was pop? Trick Daddy when he was doing this thing. JT Money, that era. The beginning of Slip Inside Records and Rick Ross kind of getting an introduction as far as that. Tell me about Miami, because I came up in an era when it was Luke fighting for getting the parental advisory stickers on the albums. That was my generation of Miami music. So tell me about your generation, man, when you was coming up and all that.
That definitely bled into mine. I'll tell you that. Uncle Luke, We have all the whole booty music movement down here. That was, as I mentioned in a previous interview, like that's what we were listening to at our school dances. Like we were some ratchet teenagers, but sure enough, this is what we grew up listening to. Trick Daddy, Young Trick Daddy, Slip and Slide, Take It to the House, Icons. That was definitely going on. And then, like you said, leading into Rick Ross. Now I'm getting a little bit older as a teenager. I actually bump into Rick Ross a couple times out here because Old Boy is located real close by to where I live. Yeah. I live in a town called Hialeah.
Okay, familiar.
It's very predominantly Hispanic culture. My mother was an immigrant from Colombia, so when she moved to Miami, she moved to a place where she felt like it would fit, where she could fit. But I was exposed to all of that. So then it's a full spectrum because the real Miami is more hood than it seems. So I'm growing up there, but at the same time, we have this multicultural Spanish scene, a big mixture of urban music from every nationality. So the scene was lit. Yeah. The scene was lit. No matter what aspect you look at it from, it was lit.
Yeah, and Miami's always been no matter how the backdrop is, it's always been a party vibe, right? It's always been the perception of a good time and a good party time. And yeah, the thing I love about Miami too, man, and it's crazy because you were saying how your mom's was an immigrant, is I love how the culture of Miami is like, yo, if you don't speak Spanish, that's on you. You know what I'm saying? They don't give a damn. Right. They like, if you don't speak Spanish, that's on you. We ain't gonna try to conform to you. You got to conform to us. So I love how there's little pockets in Miami of different cultures, like you said, Colombia, Cuba, some parts of maybe Mexico and Puerto Rico. All those Spanish cultures out there, and I love it, man. I just love that melting pot of just different cultures down there.
Absolutely. Nice. Yeah, definitely. You got people from all over the world. You'll bump into a Russian out here. You got Haitians out here. You got people from the Bahamas, everywhere. Because we got people. Miami is such a big city that people come in from all over the world different times of years. And depending on the paper, there's a lot of people with paper out here too. It's that dynamic of the hood and then a lap of luxury all at the same time. You go to South Beach, you're at the club, but walking to your car, there's homeless people thrown on the street. Like it's very one and the same. It's all involved. So yeah, musically it's conceptually adventurous. Like it's whatever you want to be, you could be out here.
Absolutely. I'm saying I live in Dallas now, but I was born and raised in New York, so I grew up in Queens. And similar thing, it's a melting pot, right? You have everybody in the world comes there, so you get to grow up around so many different cultures, and you don't have to even leave. Like me, I didn't have to leave the borough of Queens to see the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, because there was so many different pockets of cultures that I can go over here eat some Dominican food. I can go over here eat Ecuadorian food, Puerto Rican food, and all that stuff. And I loved it, man. I miss it. It's not the same here in Dallas. It's a little bit more, spread out. Yeah, it's more chill, more spread out. You got to have a car to go everywhere. It's not like in New York where you need public transportation. You can be from point A to point B anywhere. But so with you coming up as a youngster, man, before the music part, and mom being so you're first, so that makes you first generation American?
First generation American, yeah.
How was that, brother? Because I know that feeling as well too, man. My parents, my grandparents were from Trinidad, Tobago. So my parents grew up in the South, but I was a first generation New Yorker. So those certain expectations they're heavy on the child of immigrants, right? So tell me about that. It was the same for you too, man?
Yeah, well, I mean, go figure, right? Like I'm born here, but my first language is Spanish because no one in my family spoke English. Yeah. And then I come to learn English in school, so I'm naturally bilingual the entire time. But we didn't necessarily come from any means of privilege. I don't like to bash on my life in the sense of like, oh, I had it the hardest. Not necessarily. I feel like there's always somebody that has it worse than you. But we didn't have much. I mean, they come from a culture of like scraping and saving. They knew nothing about investment and financial or the structure that is this country. Like I always say, this ain't a country. This is a business.
It's a business, yeah.
So they really didn't come from that. They're just hardworking people that'll break their back to survive and then die honorably with nothing. You know what I mean? So that put a lot of pressure on me. And I didn't understand at the time why, but you don't want to see your family struggle. If you got a heart, I mean, anyone with a heart would want to help out the people that help you. So my whole life, I put this pressure on myself that I need to make it. And music was the first thing that I reached. I mean, I didn't understand the climb. I didn't understand the process of getting there, but I'm like, this is something I love to do. This is something I want to do. This is how I'm going to feed my family. And in the process of chasing this, I come to learn business. I come to learn finance. I come to see the broader picture now. But as a youth, it was very little ease. You know what I'm saying? Like anxiety was a part of life. As far as my social life, I did well. You know, people tend to like my vibe. I always had a decent group of friends. I was never hurting in the social department. But you know, every time you come back home, it's a different reality than what I'm projecting for myself, or perhaps what I saw at another friend's house who was doing better off. So I think that it instilled a hustle in me. Growing up first generation American made me feel like if you don't see nobody that can help you around you, chances are you are that person that's going to have to make that change.
Absolutely. Nobody's going to come save you but you, right?
That's right.
Absolutely, man. So when did the I want to contribute to the culture, I want to be, you know, I want to do this hip hop thing, I want to do this music thing. When did that hit you? When did that bug hit you? And what was it that made you know, oh shit, I can do this? Like, what was it that hit you for that?
Well, sure enough, like I start reverse engineering the music for fun. I didn't have an obligation to. I just for fun, I sat down and I dissected. I didn't know what bars was yet. So I'm like, all right, 12 lines. Yeah. And then 4 lines and then 4 lines. I was a writer growing up. So my first skill set was writing. I always shined as a writer. So I took those writing skills and I took this platform or this structure of music and I just decoded it. And once I decoded it, I decided to take a shot. And when I was 8 years old, I ripped the Big Papa beat off the internet. You remember, like when you still had to wait a whole day for it to download.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I came back from school one day and I wrote my first verse to it. I wouldn't dare ever air that verse, but once I did that once, that's what caused the ripple effect to continue. Yeah. And once I saw that I was getting progressively better, and not just getting better, but finding my own voice. That's when I felt like I'm good at this. You know what I mean? Like maybe this is the writing shining, or maybe I did have something in me to make music, because I got an ear for it. I never played an instrument. I was never skilled at any instrument. I never took a band class. So it was something that was very intuitive in me. And then sure enough, people around me started noticing. Yeah. So once people start noticing, now it's no longer my opinion of myself. That's when I realized I'm like, I could take this all the way. Yeah,
that was going to be my next question. I was like, what was that moment of validation for you from the outside sources that made you feel like, oh shit, I'm onto something right here? Was that a homie? Was that just like a random stranger out there? What was that moment for you?
That actually happened in middle school and after basketball practice. I was joined a basketball team. I was in the 6th grade and we start freestyling. We just start, and it's the older kids. So at the time, the older kids are 8th graders. Right? I'm 33 years old now. They all just to me, but yeah, we started and I snapped. It was a quiet thing. It's something that I knew about. I never told anyone. And one random day, I just jump in and they're like, "Hold up, like how, what? You? How? What?" And then sure enough, I built a group of friends that they were all very talented. They all did different things. Some of them were involved in athletics. Some of them were really smart people. Some of them were actors into theater. I was the rap guy per se. So we started, we would, with the pens, we would tap with the pens. We'd be in class or we'd be in the cafeteria and we start tapping. And then we just start noticing that me freestyling, them tapping beats, people started gravitating towards us. Then once we get into high school, we start getting into parties. We start going to parties just like anybody else. And sure enough, I drunk off my ass, you know, or whatever, or not, you know, because I probably wasn't supposed to be. But it's just the energy, we kept bringing that energy, whether it was school or social gathering, and people would always just huddle up. It became a norm to have a circle around us. And that's when I started realizing, like, this is hitting other people too. All right. You know, so sure enough, that was the beginning of the validation. But once I graduated high school, a lot of those dreams for most people die. You know, the NFL dreams, the NBA dreams, they tend to die with reality once you leave school. But it kept going. Yeah. That's when I started joining the circuit around Miami Beach, downtown, later to become Wynwood, the circuits in Wynwood. I just started joining open mics, and we were competing for like studio time or like a $350 reward. Yeah. And I'm going to the studio. I'm paying top. I don't got bread at the time like that, but I'm paying top dollar to go to the best studios I could find, record my music, and then take it to these open mics. And I started winning some of these open mics. And it's just the validation just snowballed
Yeah.
into the point where I was like, that's it. I have no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do.
That validation and that confidence, man. Something else. So take me through when you put together your first project. What time? Where were we at in the timeline when you was like, I'm gonna put together my first project, EP, LP, whatever. And how'd that feel for you?
I have published and unpublished. I have 2 unpublished projects,
Okay.
which probably will never see the light of day, but it's where it all started.
All right.
But as far as my first published project, that would be the Aguanta album that I dropped. That was basically me beat shopping.
Mm-hmm.
I was just feeling around like what I wanted to do. I wanted to bring something different to the game. So I just gathered a bunch of different beats from a bunch of different producers, and I put it together in Sacramento. Prior to that, I had made music, but it wasn't anything that either stuck or that I was too proud of, because I was constantly outdoing myself.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like the rapper's plight of like, oh, this was better, let me delete the last one. I did a lot of that. That's why those first 2 projects didn't come out. But yeah, that was the first one that I stood by and I was very proud of. And it was very simple. Like, it just hitting the stew. I mean, just writing at home. I like to write on my own.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like to write on my own time. I like to separate myself and dig into my mind, dig into my intuition. And then the process of recording it was very out there, because then I had people that I didn't even know come into my sessions. It was a big studio, so there was a lot of things going on, and just people getting involved and like, yo, what is this? And I'm like, leave me alone, let me work. You know what I mean? So that first project, that was my first full-length album that's been published. I dropped a mixtape prior to that called THC. That was a similar inspiration, but it ended up as a mixtape because of legal reasons. I wasn't able to get certain things cleared and stuff. You know what I mean? So what I end up doing later is that I end up getting clearance on 6 songs of that mixtape. I end up dropping that as an EP, because I'm like, yo, I want to keep the history, you know, like I don't want to lose it. Every song is like your child, right? So you don't want to let it go. So I took the 6 best songs from that mixtape, dropped that as an EP, dropped the Aguanta album, and that's when I felt like I was totally in my bag. I thought that being in my bag as a rapper, as a lyricist, I thought it would come with the money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought by the time, you know how basically when you get signed to a major deal, they put money in your pocket. You hone in on the studio for 3 months, and that's where every artist just becomes a beast. We see that transition. That happened to me before achieving financial success. So it was not what I was expecting, you know, but it was up to me to realize that you're in it right now. Yeah. You feel me? And so it didn't stop. It didn't stop, and that eventually led to Angelino Records.
Yeah, talk about that. How did you get on their radar, or how did they get on your radar? How did that relationship start?
Yeah, well, after living my whole life in Miami, I decided I needed something different. Like you were saying earlier, it's a party culture, and I thought this was normal. I thought the way we live is the way everybody lived. So I needed to try something different, and I moved to Sacramento. I lived in Sacramento for 8 years. Okay. And I noticed this is not how everybody lives. That's just some Miami shit, some Las Vegas shit, some New York shit, you know what I mean? Some major city shit. But in Sacramento, I was able to calm down a bit. I was able to gather myself as a person, organize my life. And I bumped into a group of friends with similar interests. I met them very organically, like a friend of a friend of a friend. And before you knew it, I met my producer, El Diablo Beats. I met him.
Yeah, he's dope. He's dope.
Absolutely. He's very musical. The man has an amazing range as far as the type of music that he understands, and his knowledge of composition is amazing. So he's the first real friend I make out here. And through him, during one of our sessions, I bump into Riggy. And Riggy at the time, I didn't know anything about him. But that relationship continued to evolve, and eventually we ended up getting the Sony deal through Who Mag. And they did that without me. I wasn't a part of Riggy's movement at the time. But sure enough, at some point, Angelino invites me. And thanks to Nate, thanks to Diablo for putting in the word with Riggy. And I met up with them. You know, Riggy talked to me. He's like, yo, I hope you're serious about this. And I'm like, yo, I'm very serious. I've been serious about this.
Yeah.
But that's when we start rubbing shoulders more often, you know what I mean? And the guy's a great dude, like you said earlier. He's a great dude, very genuine, very kindred spirit. And I said, you know what? After all my experiences in this industry, especially in Miami, I've had a lot of negative experiences. I feel like this is a solid group of dudes that I could roll with.
Yeah, and
So,
that's home right now, right? That's just your musical home.
I relocated to Miami again.
Well, I'm
So
sorry. As far as the music part, that's your musical home is Angelino Records. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, I did start my own thing. I started my own label because I wanted to start representing myself as a company. I started realizing the importance of having the presence of a company. So I did start one, but it never really became a label the way Angelino is. So when I come and I merge with Angelino, I'm like, well, you know, I don't want to let go of everything I've created, but I definitely want to partner up with you.
Yeah.
And I rep the Angelino name on me like my own. You know what I mean? So it is definitely my musical home. It's the first place I got real love. Out here at home in Miami, it was beef, it was hate, it was people looking at you weird. Everybody wants to see you do good, but not better than them.
Yeah.
You know, over there was the first time where I met grown men that are like, "Yo, you're dope. We want you to be a part of our team," and that's the love that I never knew. And that's why I said this can work, this can flourish.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it's also a learning, like you said, even though as of right now, your brand, your company your label, you know, you could kind of learn from the ins and outs of that and apply that to your joint. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, it's basically like a paid internship. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I have to talk to Ricky a lot, and I've shown him a little bit of my administrative experience. And when he saw that we also had the business knowledge, that's when it became more than just music. It's like, yo, we can collaborate, whether it's music, business, networking, growing this to see how big it could be, because there really is no limit to it.
Absolutely, yeah. This despite what everybody thinks about the music industry, it's enough money out there for everybody. Everybody can coexist with everybody, you know what I'm saying? Especially on the independent underground level where I always say anything independent in the music scene is like a novelty, you know what I'm saying? We're a boutique when it comes to this stuff. This is where the mainstream people come to steal ideas from. This is where they come, you know what I'm saying? This is where they come to get that vibe and that feeling. What we're really talking about. So I know it's eyeballs out there that listen to the radio stations, that listen to the music. And cause I've seen even mainstream guys still independent artists, album covers, you know what I'm saying? So, what you guys are doing is something special in itself, but that, you know, you guys could be the next, you know, with you being in Miami, you can be the slip inside version connecting with Jive Records kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? It could be some sort of collaborative type effort. And it's always dope to see artists come together and just forget about the bullshit and let's just get on the mission and represent. So that's dope that you guys got that going on right now.
Yeah, we all add to, and that's how I always saw it. Like, even though I had to build the hard exterior shell to be out here and survive, like I always felt it in my heart that that's where the gold lies, like collaboration. They say that. I've seen a couple posts about it nowadays, since that's the new way of taking information now. People with money are collaborating. They're not focused on competing. Like, we can get way further together. And I think that I can meet a dope artist and learn something from them without jacking a stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's only one Riggy, there's only one Diablo, there's only one Sonny Darko, there's only one Blaze. So, and the fact that the internet kind of broke the barriers of where we live. Like, we were working side by side in the same studio in Sacramento, but even if I stay making music out here, we're going for worldwide. Like, nowadays, I feel like the takeover is kind of the opposite of what it used to be. The takeover back in the day is like take over your region and it spreads out. Now I'm getting love worldwide outside of my country first, and people are that slowly giving new fans validation to why they should fuck with me. Yeah. So with us, is like, regardless of where we're at, our goal is to just tap into the people that are like us. Yeah. No matter what part of the world they're in.
Absolutely. Like you said, collaborations get you way further. Collaborations are always greater than a cosign. Cosign is like, oh yeah, this brother's dope. You know what I'm saying? Give him a listen, and that's it. Where collaborations, you guys are basically taking each other's fan bases, connecting each other, you know what I'm saying, and just doing what you do. Talk about the new work, man. You said you just dropped the EP on the Eclipse Day. How dope is that,
Yeah,
right?
it's super dope. Yeah.
I still remember that. That's one of the things I'll never forget, and that's perfect that you did it that way too. Because I remember laying out in my front yard with my wife and my daughter. My son was in school, and we just laid on the front yard and looked up, and just like was just in amazement with that sight of. It was bright one day, and then we looked up, and I was like, "Hey, look! I can see a star over there or a planet." And then it just got real dark.
Oh,
So
so you actually witnessed it.
we
This
witnessed it.
fight,
Yeah.
yo, I dropped an album on the day, conscious that it was gonna happen. I made the cover art an eclipse. Tell me how I missed it. How did I miss the actual eclipse?
It was a time zone thing, maybe. I don't know. Well, it depends too. I don't know which coverage you got. I know here in Texas we had like 98% coverage, so we was able to see most of it. And you said that was a meaning for that. It was kind of like a new beginning and kind of like a restart, refresh kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
How did you feel after that project? What was some of the feedback you got from it, and where did that take you in the current phases now?
Well, one thing that has happened throughout my career is simplification.
Mm-hmm.
Like I started off very technical, trying to be as technical as possible. Like, cause it was all technicalities to me at first, but I noticed based on feedback that people just wanted to hear more me. Mm-hmm. When I would show them something that was verbally technical versus something that was just me talking or what I thought was me talking, people gravitated towards me talking. And I'm like, yo, you realize that you're asking me to put in less effort. Yeah. And that's not what they were asking for. They were asking to hear the real you. So that was part of me discovering my voice. And by the time I get to Angelino and we do this first project, that's the first time that I get to produce. I don't want to say co-produce because I don't want to take away the credit from Nate Diablo, but it's the first time that I'm sitting in the production session, which is a whole different vibe than you heard a beat, you liked it, you bought it. I'm seeing from the inception, and I'm writing these songs along with my producer as he's building these beats. So that was great. The other great thing about it was that they have the same love for hip hop that I do. You were mentioning the underground earlier, and we all love traditional hip hop. Like there's something missing in today's hip hop for us, at least. There's a real element, and sometimes it could be the boom bap, sometimes it could be the lyrics. But I felt like all of us wanted the same thing. We make music we want to listen to. Absolutely. And of course, it's for the world too, but there's enough people in the world that some can like it and some cannot. And you'll still have 1 million followers, you know? So when we made this, we made it according to our taste. And there was some heavy metal influences. Diablo's a guitar player. So he brought his world of heavy metal and his knowledge of rock into it. So as we're making it, it's familiar, but it's brand new. And in the bars, it's like I'm not so much an autobiographical rapper. I'm very imaginative. Like I like to be creative. I like to paint a picture.
Concepts, right? You're big on concepts.
Big, yeah, you know, like, and I don't pre-plan it as much, but I like to make it more than just, this is what I went through. This is what I've been through. Like, I respect to that, but that's not me. Yeah. So we creatively, on a musical standpoint and on a lyrical standpoint, I feel like we really pushed the creativity, and the feedback has been amazing because it's been the most simplified, pure version of myself, and I think it's connected the hardest.
Absolutely. So with that process of you basically building everything from scratch, right, from the beat to I produce too, I make beats too, and then I don't sit at the crib and just be punching pads all day and say, oh, sounds dope, put it in the folder. Oh, sounds right. Like if I work with artists, it's always, all right, what do we want to do with this? How do we want this to sound, right? Okay, let me get 1 or 2 beats off the head, and we'll see if that's the direction we want to go, and we'll build from there. Like, I love doing that from, like you said, from scratch. Everything's from scratch, so it sounds cohesive, right? Is that something that you now want to take in your future projects now? Like every time, if you get a chance to just build from the ground up?
Yeah, hell yeah. Because like back when I was telling you that I was paying for top dollar for studio time, I'm not paying less than $100 for studio time. When I'm 16 years old, I don't have 12 hours to do this. I'm coming in for 2 hours. We're knocking out 3 songs. You feel me?
Yeah.
So now being able to relax in the studio, Diablo went ahead and built an entire state-of-the-art studio in his house. So we're in the comfort of our own home. I even lived with the man for some time. and I never gotten a chance to create so peacefully. Like again, back to like what I pictured my beast mode would be.
Yeah.
Honing in on a studio for 3 months, but except this wasn't provided by a major label. This was provided by, because even though we do have the Who Mag deal and the Sony deal, we still do most of the things ourselves. You know, they do add value to us, but we're still independent artists.
Yeah.
So we're still investing in ourselves. We're still doing a lot for ourselves. But that feeling of creating from scratch with endless studio time, honestly, I think I'm spoiled now. I don't think I'll ever be able to go back to trying to rush a project.
Yeah. And Diablo, he does your engineering too. He's your guy behind the boards when you record as well.
No, we have Kyle from Elevated Studios. He's another Sacramento native, very cool dude. He goes by Dirty Beats.
Okay.
Very cool dude. Like, you see him, you wouldn't even imagine that he's in this. But sure enough, when he throws those headphones on and he goes quiet, it comes out the other side is beautiful. So as far as engineering, some of the best engineering I've had out of all my projects. As far as production, the most pleasant production experience I've ever had. And as an artist, to be able to create so peacefully and with time, it brought out a different beast.
Man, people don't understand the art of being simple is the way to go. I try to make this thing as streamlined and simple as possible on everything in life if possible. You know what I'm saying? The only thing that's not is, I mean, it's life, right? So you're gonna have curveballs here and there with stuff, but when it comes to like this stuff, yeah, let's simplify this, bro. We don't need 45 people in the room. We don't need, you know what I'm saying, 17 features on the project. Let's just do me and you, me as a producer, you as an MC, engineer, and let's get it together that way, man. Because
that's hip hop as fuck right there. I'm sorry, I don't know if we can curse on this.
You can, yeah, you good.
But it's hip hop as fuck because it's the Alchemist and Action Bronson. It's like, it was always a producer with an artist, and if you're really about what you say you are, whether you're a producer or an artist or a rapper or a singer, you really don't need 45 dudes in the studio.
You don't, man.
All that entourage shit is showing up. We're going to take 3 hours smoking blunts. Like, get out of here. Like, I do this because I love this, but I treat it like a job. I come in here and I look like they say nowadays, it's like he's rapping like he got rent due.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and him also. So that's something we spoke about, me and Diablo. We spoke early on. We're like, yo, producers are getting gypped. Even when they get credits on projects, they don't even have that many points that it adds up to anything. I'm like, you're equally an artist as I am. 50% of this project could not be done without you. And your production inspired me. So you need to get listed as an artist. So this is the first time I drop a project that on the title, it's both me and my producer. It plays Aliaz and El Diablo beat.
Yeah.
We're bringing you this.
Yeah.
You know?
That's like you said, Alchemist. That's one of my favorite. I like his business model. You know, so him and as a producer, I love his business model, just like I love Currency's business model as an artist. Where, like you said, it's always that producer and that MC thing, and it's basically you're a group for that one project kind of thing. And that's how I try to model my work with. I don't have very many placements per se with artists, but I have like 4 or 5 projects out there with artists where we put together a project together and do that. And I love that. That feeling is just so dope when, like you said, you know that artist, he knows you. You guys are each other's brains because you're working with each other for 4 or 5 months building this project out. And you get the best work that way, man. Nobody can convince me any way different. Just like we say, I see it all the time on the underground because we don't have that $1 million budget. So we go with what works for us, right? So now we got the Pete Rocks and Commons putting albums together. We got, you know what I'm saying? We got that type of energy coming out there. LL and Q-Tip is doing that, you know, because they jacking it from the underground because we've been doing this for years.
But speaking of Currency, I had the pleasure of meeting him in this camp. I went out to Oakland and I met the boys, and the business model is amazing. Like from merchandise to how he promotes himself to the amount of work he puts out. You remember that year when he dropped a project every month? Yeah. Like, that man is on another level, but Harry Fraud, but we can't leave him behind. Like, him and Harry Fraud was nasty. Yeah. And Currency was saying himself, he's like, I'm not going to no fancy studio. My boy has a studio in his house. And that's Currency. Yeah. He's been around as long as Lil Wayne. You feel me? So Lil Wayne is out here in the Hit Factory, top dollar. Currency's out there in a home stew, still dropping bangers. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think that we definitely, I want to see more of that. Yeah. I want to see more producers and artists collabing and producers getting the credit they deserve. I think Alchemist is working with No, not Alchemist. Harry Fraud is actually working with Dave East right now.
Yeah.
And you can't wait because you build a pro like El Diablo Beats. You already got a vibe as to who he is. So even as a producer, you can't wait to see what this producer does with that rapper.
Yeah.
And what this rapper does with that producer. So that's what I'm looking forward to now.
It's like the fantasy league, right?
Yeah, for real, you know. And I'm about to drop a project with another producer on Angelino called Debbie Donnie.
Okay.
Also understands the things we're talking about, but we're about to make our own interpretation on that. Another producer / rapper out of Sacramento called Chase Moore. He's pretty well known in the West Coast. I got a project coming out with him too, and it's just me colliding worlds.
Yeah.
I want to see what they bring out of me. I want to see what I bring out of them, and all for the enjoyment of the crowd. You know?
Yeah. Brother, it sounds like to me, man, you just in a really good space, creative wise. It sounds like that you feel like, you know, you're on your side of being successful right now. It may not always be financial, but just hearing your story and where you came from and what you're trying to build up to, it feels like you're like, man, I'm making it right now. This is what I want to do. You got that creative freedom. Sounds like you got a lot more in the chamber coming out real soon.
Loaded. I couldn't stop if I wanted to.
Absolutely, that's the best feeling in the world, bro. That's the best feeling in the world, man. So tell me this, man. Where can we check out the music, bro? Where can we listen to it? You got a specific website you want us to go to and purchase it? Let us know. Let the people know, man.
Well, I'm available everywhere. I'm published everywhere right now. I'm on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify, you name it. All the DSPs were out there right now. I do have a website, blazealias.com. That's my personal channel. You know, I'm slowly building up the YouTube this year. I'm about to start dropping visuals because I think I put out a good amount of music. I kind of did it in phases. So at first, I just wanted to ensure good quality music. And now that I know that that's good and that's going to continue to be good, now I want to focus on visuals.
Nice.
I'm trying to find more visual artists. Now, the same way I collaborate with these producers, I'm looking for visual artists that are handy with the camera and that got an artistic vision so we could take these words and these sounds and give it a whole new life, you know? So they could definitely look forward this year to some videos dropping.
Nice, man. And then what else, what projects can you? I know you talked about a few projects, but you got any collabs we should be features you on, or any other artists we should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, absolutely. Me and Sonny Darko dropping a rock album.
He's dope too. I like Sonny's music too. He's real dope. Yeah. Dope.
Yeah, he's another world. And since we got El Diablo Beats in the middle, this is a man who's taught me more about rock single-handedly than anybody I've ever seen in my life. So I think it was only right. Like once I felt where that music is coming from, I wasn't just narrowed to what I like, but I'm like, it's the same feeling. Yeah. Well, no matter the genre, it's the same feeling. So having a producer who's so capable and having an artist like Sonny Darko who's so versatile, we ran ahead and we already got 12 songs lined up in the chamber for that album. Nice. But it's only a matter of time because we got a lineup of music we're dropping. Yeah. But there's definitely going to be a rock album coming soon, and I'm looking forward to that. That's
what I love about this hip hop as a genre in general, man. Because hip hop can make everything else pop, but it can't go the other way around. Like you can't make jazz and rock go together, you know. So you can't make jazz and country go together. But you could bring all that stuff. You could bring a lot of those elements into hip hop and make you a banger. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I understood it. The way I understood it is like rap has always been. They try to put us in a box, but singers were never put in a box. Like you mentioned, country. There's country singers. There's jazz singers. There's R&B singers. There's singers for every genre. But why is it? I asked myself, why is it that rappers are just hip hop? Yeah. And I didn't feel limited. I like all sort of music. I mean, I listen to all types of music. So I just told myself, to me, it's about, as long as the music feels good, I don't really care about the genre. Absolutely. I do feel that you need to identify yourself as an artist. You need to have something you're good at. You like, in terms of business, it's an original product. But the ability to go versatile after that, like I could rap on any beat of any genre, provided that it's good. Like shit, me and Diablo's from LA. Yeah. Diablo is like 6'5", 6'6", bald. Yeah. Big ass beard, scary dude covered in tats. I look like me. and we drop a Caribbean song.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, Diablo, I want to do a Caribbean vibe. Yo, tell me how like in an hour and a half we got a whole ass song that you could imagine at Jamaican festivals and shit.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what I mean. It's like we know the elements that make a song good, but we make what we feel, and I think we're wanting to expand.
Here we go.
We definitely don't want to stay in a box. But when it comes to this rap shit and this hip hop, that's where it all started, and that's where the heart is.
Absolutely, man. Expand your artistry, brother. You know what I'm saying? We gonna do everything we can do here in our power to keep pushing the music out for you. I got the joints from Rig sent me some joints, sent me the gunpowder joint, the choppers on fire. So I got those loaded on the radio station already, so we good on that. I'll play it on the show some more. And when you get visuals too, man, I'm gonna check your visuals and we'll share that on the website as well, man. And
thank you, man. Thank you.
You know, we appreciate you coming through. So now I can officially induct you into what we call the Mixtape Show Boom Bap alumni. You know what I'm saying? You and your family now. You know what I'm saying? That means whenever you got anything you want to talk about, brother, you can hit me up personally, like, hey, man, I got a new single. We got a new album coming. We got, whatever. I got new merch. Let's talk about it, man. I'll bring you back on. We'll talk about it anytime, brother. The door is always open.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother. I appreciate the love, man. Thank you so much.
No problem, man. Who you want to shout out, man, before we get out of here?
Well, definitely the whole squad. Angelino Records, Ricky Mars, the man himself, El Diablo Beats, Deadbeat Donnie, Sonny Darko, the squad. We working right now. We really pushing some edges right now. We starting our own thing. We don't want to be grouped into anybody else's shit. With all due respect to everybody, and always paying homage and giving respect where it's due. But the squad is on fire right now, and I think for what's left of the year, I think we got a lot of surprises in the box, and it's not going to stop now.
There we go.
The more momentum we get, the further it's going to go. So everyone definitely tune in. Check out everyone I just mentioned. Sonny Darko, artists. El Diablo Beats and Deadbeat Donnie, producers. I believe both of them are dropping beat tapes. Diablo already has some beat tapes out. Deadbeat already has some beat tapes out. So for any artists out there looking for beats, tap in with the boys. And yeah, once again, Ricky, for introducing me to you, brother. You're an amazing person, man. Thank you, man.
I appreciate you, brother. Welcome to the Mixtape Show family, man. His name is Blaze Aliaz. He's collaborating with Angelino Records, man. It's a dope record label. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man Ricky Mars, man. I love what they're doing out there. I've always been a fan of the independent everything when it comes to this music thing. So I don't talk about commercial radio. I don't talk about commercial hip hop. I talk about the underground. And you brothers definitely on my personal playlist, man. And it's a pleasure meeting you for the first time. And it's the first time, definitely not the last. You know what I mean? So whenever you and Sonny drop that joint, come back and let's talk about that one.
Hell yeah, brother. We'll do.
All right, man. We're gonna play a couple joints. We'll be right back, and we will holler at you later.